Okay, last video in this setup, my curls have almost completely disappeared. I don't know how to keep them yet. I'm trying my best to figure that out. Let's get into it. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new. In today's video, I'm gonna go over all of the eyeshadow pans that I've hit this quarter, which is quarter 3. We are in the last quarter of the year. I am still working on trying to hit 75 pans. It's gonna be a stretch. It's gonna be close, but I still have my hopes up. For this quarter, I have hit 19 pans, which is not bad. What I did in the other quarter, so quarter 1 I had 20, quarter 2 I had 19, and now I have 19. So that's not bad. We're at 85 total pans, if I did my math there correctly. I'm working on trying to get to 75, which if I just continue this pattern of hitting 19 pans, I'll be fine. So like I said, it's doable. I think I could do it, but time will tell. Before we get to that, let's first check out all the pans that I've hit in this quarter. There might be a few spoilers because I have yet to put up film even and put up my Panda eyeshadows update, so there might be some spoilers for that, but other than that, let's get into it. So I'm gonna show you the pan that I've hit, and I'm gonna tell you what project it was in, if it was in a project. So starting off, I hit pan in the shade Electric from my Beauty Bay Midnight palette. This is the shade Electric, and this palette was my Project Level Up Level 4 palette. So it actually now has 5 pans because I already had pan in this, but I've hit these 4 pans in Project Level Up. That's the first. Then I hit pan in the shade Keiko from the Glam Shop Remix palette. I'm gonna guess that it's this one. Pretty sure actually that it's this one. And this was in my A Pan Has No Name. So that is the second pan. Then I have a pan from the Beauty Bay Nikki Tutorials palette. And I hit pan in the shade Mr. Tutorials. And this was in my Pan Those eyeshadows. Then I have a shadow from my Panda palette. Now I have frankened a lot of these eyeshadows. So if I had pan in the original shadow, I'm not recounting if I hit pan in a franken or a repress. But this shadow I've repressed, not all of it, but most of it. And I had not hit pan on the original shadow, so I have counted that towards my pan total, my total pans. This is the shade Lullaby from my Nabla Dreamy palette, which is obviously not in my Nabla Dreamy palette anymore, but I hit pan in that. Then I hit pan in shade number 2 from my Makeup Revolution Soft Radiance palette. Is right here, and it says here that this wasn't in any project. I just liked this shadow and hit pan on it. Then again for my Glam Shop Remix palette, I hit pan in the shade Weirdo, which should then be this eyeshadow, or maybe this was Keiko and this was Weirdo. Either way, I hit pan in both of these, and that was in my Pan Those eyeshadow. Then this is my big Glam Shop Singles palette. I hit pan in the shade Violet Fields, and that is this light flaky purple right here. And this palette, as you can see, some of the shades have been taken out there in that smaller palette, this one. But this palette was my Project Level Up Level 1 palette of round 2. Then I hit pan in the shade Princess from my Beauty Bay Love Notes palette, which is right here, this beautiful purple. And this eyeshadow was in my pan those eyeshadows. Then we are back at the Glam Shop Remix palette, and I hit pan in the shade Orion, and I'm sure that that is this green one. And this was in my A Pan Has No Name project, which by the way I desperately need to update. So this also was a spoiler, I think, but it is what it is. I hit pan in that one. Then I hit pan in the shade Wax Paper from the Zoeva Caramel Melange palette, and this is the shade Wax Paper. This wasn't in any project. I'm just working through lit setting shades, so was working on that and hit pan on that. Then I hit pan in the shade Ivy from my Beauty Bay and Nikki Tutorials palette. This is the shade Ivy, and this was my level 2 palette for project level up. Then I hit pan in the shadow from the Viseart Peach palette, and I hit pan in this shade right here. Again, a matte cream, but this was in my Lord of the Rings project pan for a prompt where it was like, you're close to finishing. I was close to hitting pan, so I rolled that one in and I hit pan in that. Then we're back at the Remix palette from Glam Shop, and I hit pan in the shade Minerally. I cannot pronounce that. That is this shadow right here, and that was also my pan those eyeshadows. Then here's another spoiler for my pan those eyeshadows. I hit pan in the shade Confetti from my Beauty Bay Love Notes palette. There is a nice pan. Like I said, this is in my pan those eyeshadows. Then I hit pan in the shade All In from the Beauty Bay Nikki Tutorials palette. It is that brown shimmer right there. And like I said, this was my level 2 palette. Then I also hit pan in the Peachy Shimmer from this Viseart Peach palette. And that shade actually was in my hashtag Beauty Chest project. We are on the last stretch, guys. I hit pan in these two shades are together in a mini palette in the shade Millennium, sorry, from Glam Shop. So this is a Glam Shop single, and I also hit pan in this Essence single. I have been using them together for an inner corner highlight, and they both weren't in a project. I wanted to hit pan on them, and this one, as you can see, is more of a champagne highlight. This is a very white glittery highlight, so I matched them together. I used them together and they worked pretty good together, so that's how I was able to hit pan on those. And then the last pan that I've hit this quarter comes from the Beauty Bay Disney Bambi palette. Is a spoiler for my pan those eyeshadows, I'm sorry. And the pan is right here in this matte white shade. So that is it. That is the last pan of this quarter. We have 1 quarter to go. Keep your fingers crossed that I can hit my 75 pan goal. I really hope I can do it, but I should be okay if I can keep up this pace, this momentum. We have to keep it going. And I have to keep hitting pans. I remember in one of my last videos, was it the last quarterly pans? No, it was my plan to pan eyeshadow edition. I had this comment of a lady who was like, what are you talking about? You're not making any sense. Hitting pan, what is that? It was sort of funny because it sounded like she was telling me that I was crazy, and I could only think of someone watching that whole video not having a clue what I'm talking about, but still took the time out of her day to comment on that video. It was just it was kind of funny, and I explained to her, you know, you should look it up because there's a whole lovely community about panning and hitting pan, and it's amazing. I don't know if she did, but anyway, that was it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe, and I will hopefully see you in one of my next videos. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!